Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Faizah Ramouni, and this is going to be the introduction / disclaimer for the series that I'm calling The X-Files. This is where I'm going to share with all of you how I got into my first relationship, which turned out to be emotionally, verbally, and physically abusive, how I survived that relationship, and ultimately got out with my life. Snapchat reminded me, as it often does, that it's been 10 years since I made the decision to leave that relationship. And I will tell you guys, what an adjustment. What an adjustment. A decade to have passed that quickly and so much to have happened in between. Time goes fast when you don't want it to, and it drags its feet through the hard times, okay? Always remember that. And I often find myself, as of late, maybe it was turning 40 last September, but I find myself wanting to look back and understand so much. I know in every part of me that this is going to help so many women recognize what love really is and what it is not, and it will convince them to leave. I know this. I have not talked about many parts of this. I started telling my story back in 2016, which many of you might remember. Then I went back into hiding. I would share a little bit and then I would stop, and I would go a little and then I would stop. And a great part of that was fear, for a great many reasons that I will explain throughout this series. I didn't find peace in the silence. I never did. Silence didn't bring me any peace, but speaking up will. Now, everything I'm about to share with all of you can be validated by family, friends, and anybody who unfortunately had to go through that hell with me. Now, with that said, I'm going to handle this the same way that I started telling the story back in 2016, which means I'm not going to be sharing names. I will not be sharing people's pictures. I will not be sharing any identifying factors in order to protect the identities of the people involved. But at that time, back in 2016, when it had just all happened, I commend myself for not destroying them and their names the way that they did to mine, all right? Which, again, we will get to. I trusted Allah, God, to get my revenge for me, and that's what he kept telling me over and over, to let him handle it. And I will tell you all, you leave God to your enemies, that is the purest form of revenge you will ever get. I'm going to take you all into what got me into the relationship in the first place, to a man that became my first everything, my first love, the first man I ever gave my V card to, the first man I ever thought would be the man that would change my perspective on marriage. I was not a woman who ever thought about marriage until I had met Pan, which is the nickname we're going to give to my ex, as in Peter Pan. So I'll take you to what got me on that first date with Pan, how the relationship went on for almost 3 years, and then how it ultimately ended and brought me to this online journey. I'm going to give you guys a trigger warning right now. This is going to get heavy. I'm going to be reliving and retelling stories that involve clear detail of domestic violence and words or arguments that might be very triggering to a great many people in a negative way. Please use your discernment. If you feel like this is not something that you can listen to, just click off. I'm going to try to just sit here and talk and let things flow naturally, but there may be times I have to pause, I feel myself getting a little anxiety, and I need to take a step back. Please remember, this is a lot of stuff I have not relived or spoken about outside of therapy or in my journal, which I journal in every night. So please be patient and understanding throughout that. To be clear, I have zero contact with my ex, with anybody involved, the friends, anybody that was in any way, shape, or form connected to him, or even after, like even people from my dad's side who remained friends or even married into those groups. All of them have been cut off. I have no contact with them. I don't want any contact with these people. So it was not easy to have to even cut off friendships with people that I was deeply connected with at those times. But because they were connected to my ex, they were cut off. So I have no contact with any of these people, and I do not want that. When you go through so much darkness, all you want to do is surround yourself around light. And when I say it gets dark, it gets dark. There's times I even look back and think to myself, gosh, it's crazy that happened. It even felt like something out of a series or like a movie. I guarantee a lot of you will be sitting, listening and saying, oh my gosh, that's crazy. How did that happen? How did you survive that? There's many times I wonder and question that very same thing. It really goes to prove the power of the human spirit and the power of faith, your connection to God. And maybe that's why I even want to tell it, because it was real and it happened and I survived that. And if I could survive that, I know that there's many of you in your circumstance that can find a way out as well. Because I will tell you, there were times I did not think I could leave. To leave was the most terrifying thing in the world. and it came at a cost. I don't know how long this is going to take to tell. I'm going to touch briefly on the years from 2007 to 2012 that got me on that first date. And then I'm going to touch on the 3 years of that relationship up to the end of it in 2015 and the start of my journey on social media in 2016. So we have a lot of ground to cover, but I can promise you I'm going to put as much as I can into each part so we cover as much as possible. Part 1 will follow this video, so you can look out for that. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the posts. Please make sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss any posts. I believe, is there anything else? No, I believe that's it. With that, allow me to open the drawer and pull out the X-Files.